ever wished you could make 2 beautiful cards with half the effort? That's exactly what we're doing today with the 2-for-1 split coloring technique. I'll stamp the same image onto 2 panels, color just one, then cut and swap the sections to create 2 striking designs. It's an easy way to stretch your supplies and get twice the impact from a single design. Grab your favorite coloring medium and let's make some magic with this fun and efficient technique. Hey everyone, it's Lean from ColoradoLean.com. Welcome back to the craft room. I first tried this technique about 4.5 years ago during the 30-day coloring challenge, and it's been a favorite ever since. The inspiration for the split card design came from a video I found on YouTube by Jennifer McGuire, and I will go ahead and link that video for you in the description below. I was so inspired by her approach that I decided to give it a try for myself. As I talk through this technique, I do want to show you one of the original finished cards I made back then. And here it is. This is how the split coloring technique looked when I first tried it. The key to making this technique work is choosing the right stamps. Larger images like this floral bouquet I'll be using today are perfect because they offer enough detail for both halves of the design. You can also try working with background stamps or bold patterns for a unique twist. Now that you know the backstory, let's dive into the process and create some beautiful cards together. For our stamping, I will be using this Petal Trio from Creative Expressions, and I will be stamping that on 2 pieces of Recollections 110-pound card. This is the white card that I always use, and this gray piece is from the Coffee and Cream paper pack. And of course, I will be stamping with my GinaK Designs Amalgam ink in Obsidian Black. First thing we need to do is to get our stamp lined up. This is a nice big stamp, so it will take up the majority of our card front, which is what we want. To help me get a better impression of the stamp, I'm going to use a little tool that my husband made up for me. And it just helps me get a much better impression on the stamp. All right, we will call this one good. Let's set that aside dry. And I will place my gray card in and get that stamped as well. Now that both pieces are stamped, I am going to leave this in my Misti so that after I color the white image, if I feel I need to, I can always re-stamp it. So let's go ahead and let this ink dry just a little bit, and then we will be back and we will do our Copic coloring. I did get out my heat gun to help this dry a little bit quicker. And the colors we're going to be using today are R37, R39, and R59 in my Copic markers. And I'm just going to be doing some, pretty basic coloring. I will start with the darkest, which is R59, and just do a little bit of color flicking at the base of the petal. And then with R39, I will take that color up a little bit farther. And then with our 37, I will take it up even further. Now, kind of as an afterthought, I got out our 35. These petals are awfully large, so we'll just throw in a tad bit more color there. And then that's how I'm going to color all of the petals. So I'll just rush through that for you. I won't make you watch me do this. I did get a little carried away with my coloring, and I forgot to turn the camera back on. This is a very, very simple Copic coloring. So for the leaves, I used G94 and G99. And then for the center of the flower, I used YR68. Now that we have our Copic colored panel all finished, we just need to decide how much of the bottom we're going to cut off. If I look at my original card, I took off an inch from the colored panel. Okay, so it has been 4.5 years, so I don't remember exactly how I did this. So looking at the edge of the card here, what it looks like I did was with the bottom panel, I trimmed an inch off. So that would be an inch off of this Copic colored panel. And then my sentiment strip is approximately 3/8 of an inch wide. And then my top panel is 2 7/8 or thereabouts. I forgot I did that. So the most important thing we need to do is make sure we trim off the same amount on both panels and to make sure that the image is going the same direction. So that is the most important thing. My panel is 4¼ inches wide. So if we do it the exact same way, well, let's do it this way. I'm going to cut this at 3 inches. And then I will cut this panel at 3 inches as well. And then these panels will be lined up together. And then these will be lined up. So we could do it just like that, which I think is what I'm going to do. And then with my sentiment strip, I'll just put that over the top of that line rather than trying to figure out how wide I need to cut my strip and take off the same amount on both sides. That just sounds like a lot of brain damage to me. I'm going to go ahead and bring in some Scotch tape. And I will work on one panel at a time. Now I'm not going to stamp this again, but I am going to use my Misti to help me line up my edges. So this is the way it goes. So I will turn this card over and this one over. Line them up and hold it down with my magnet. And it isn't perfect. However, like I said, I will put my sentiment strip over that. So that will be okay. Let's get our second card in here. And that one turned out much better. For my sentiment, I am going to use this line, Hope Your Day is Fab, from the Altenew Garden Rose stamp set. And I'm going to heat emboss that on a piece of black cardstock. Now, this is cut to approximately 5.5, which is the width of my card. And I can either have the sentiment in the middle, off to the left, or off to the right. And I think I'm going to have it kind of off to the left this time. On my original card, it was on the right side. I will line that up in my Misti. And then I want to make sure and use my, whatever you call this thing, I don't remember. My anti-static pouch. And then with my VersaMark ink, I will ink up my stamp. And I am using my Ranger white embossing powder. I see one little piece of embossing powder I want to get off of there. And the rest of that looks good. So I will cut sound, speed through this, and heat this up with my Wagner heat gun. I did have a little problem stamping the second sentiment on the same piece. So I just said, screw it, I'm getting another one. Okay, I need to straighten up this bottom. Got a little grungy. So I probably need to cut this maybe about 1/4 inch, maybe a little bit bigger than that. So my card here is 4 inches, so I will see what it looks like. No, it looks like it needs to be about 1/2 inch. Or maybe a little bit smaller. Just a little bit larger than 1/2 inch. Yeah, that turned out really nice. So this sentiment strip is a tiny little bit wider than the first one. But, you know, like I said, it's no big deal at all. Let's bring our card fronts back in. Now here's where we can choose to line it up in the middle or if we want to take it up just a little bit more, which I think I might want to do. Just take it up a little bit more so you can see more of the coloring on the bottom of this one, and you'd be able to see more of the gray side on this one. So the way I'm going to attempt to line this up, I will use my Club Scrap centering ruler, and I'm going to pick a line. This is at, well, it doesn't really matter. I have this on a solid black line. This happens to be 1 3/4 of an inch. And then I'm going to make sure that it is lined up with this line as well. And again, it doesn't matter what the measurements are. To give myself a little bit of extra wiggle room to get this in place, I am going to put a generous amount of art glitter glue on top of my tape. Make sure the sentiment is on the right side, at the correct side, I should say. And then I will line this up. Now, if I have to trim the edges at all, that's fine. In fact, I might do that anyway so I can have a black mat on the card. And that's what it looks like. So it is hanging over just a tiny bit. I'm going to go ahead and get this other card front done. And then I will decide whether or not I want to trim these down any for a mat. Now that both of the cards are finished, let's take a look at how they compare to the original one I made years ago. On this card, I used heat embossing for the uncolored side, which created a soft, subtle effect that blended into the yellow cardstock. This time, I stamped the flowers onto gray cardstock with black ink, giving it a completely different look. More defined, but still beautifully balanced. It's amazing how changing just a few details can make such an impact. I'm curious, have you ever tried the split coloring technique? Let me know down in the comments how that came out for you. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to hit that notification bell so you never miss a new project. See you next time. Bye.